Can you hear me now? Hello?
All right.
Hello? Eddie, can you hear me? Eddie, can you hear me? Hello? 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 Eddie, can you hear me? Hello? 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 To those of you that are tuning in, we have about 8 minutes to go. We have apparently a couple of technical difficulties, so bear with us as we work through this. I have Eddie on the other end. I can see him, and we're emailing back and forth, getting our configuration set up here properly. Hello to all. So just hold tight, and we will be starting shortly, one way or another. Hello?
Hey, man, what's up? Can you hear me?
There you are. I've been saying your name for like 10 minutes. I'm like,
Same
hello?
here. How come I can't?
Hello?
How come I can't see you though?
I sent you a message. My camera is not working for some reason. So on my end, they're just going to see a picture that pops up. Everybody should be able to hear me okay. I'm chatting as we speak. And we've got your video. So unfortunately, I apologize to all of you. You will not be able to see my handsome face today. For some reason, my
We could see the handsome picture.
Exactly. It's a good picture. So we're going to have to go with that today. But listen, we've got about 5 minutes, Eddie, so we can do some preliminary. We're live, so we've got a few people, tuning in already.
All right.
But we can kind of chit chat for about 5 minutes. Did you have a presentation? Are we going to more or less use the same format that we did last time, where you're going to do sort of a brief presentation at the beginning, and then we'll open it up to questions around the halfway point? Does that sound like a good plan? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Are we gonna do the YouTube thing today, or so we can get a chat going, or no?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got the chat going. There's a few people already chatting. So let me send you the link. I'll email that to you right now, Eddie, and you can pull that up and check that out as well. Here you go. So, quick question for you, Eddie. Did you want to cover, material-wise, did you want to cover anything different than the last one? Do you have different topics that you want to start with? Do you want to more or less talk about the same ideas? Or do you have anything in particular at all that you wanted to start with today?
I thought we would just talk, a little bit about the industry. I've been, consulting a lot of people, and I keep seeing like a lot of the same issues. So I figured if we just brought those up and, talked about the pitfalls and, why we should avoid them, I think that'd be a nice start. Get everybody warmed up, and then I think once the questions come in, it'll just kind of roll.
Perfect, excellent. So we have about 5 minutes, and we'll start 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific sharp. We'll start right on the dot.
Okay.
So what else is going on with you, Eddie? Everything good?
Yeah, yeah. I just finished the Snapchat show. I haven't got that link yet, by the way.
I
The
just sent it to you. Maybe refresh your inbox.
um, do you know there's like a feature in Google? I learned it once and I forgot it, where you can basically force it to give you your emails now. Because like, as I understand it, they kind of hold your emails for like a few minutes or something. Do you know about this?
I think it depends on who your email provider is. I mean, I know
Okay.
with GoDaddy, there's a check email function. So if you click that, it refreshes, any new messages that you have waiting.
Roger that. Okay, well, I'll wait for this. I mean, either way, it's not you can kind of, get the chat going for me. So, but yeah, man, just finished the show this week. That felt good. Felt good to, complete. This would be like the fourth or fifth gig, so that feels good.
How much music did you do for that show?
This was, these are small webisodes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes at most. So it definitely was, just easy compared to the last couple of things, the marathons that I've ran.
Nice. So how
So,
was it? A couple
yeah,
weeks? A week? How long did you
it was
spend?
a month. It was
A
one
month.
month.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice. Did it pay pretty well? Good pay?
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
content. I mean, I'm always looking for the next thing. I talked about in that post, the fallacy of success. Like when I hit that first stride, I realized it wasn't going to solve all my issues. I realized like there was still life to live, and it was only one job, and there was more jobs that you had to get. It kind of, it opened up my mind, but I'm interested in scaling it to a great degree. Having multiple projects, multiple writers, multiple things happening all at once.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I am at this time.
Yeah, I loved how you talked about in that post the idea of sort of enjoying the journey, enjoying the process, as opposed to thinking you're going to arrive at some specific point where all of a sudden you feel like you have it made,
I really thought that was gonna happen. Like I felt like I was in a movie or something. I thought I'll get there
Yeah.
and everything will be figured out. Everything will be happy, but it was not the case, man.
Yeah, I know the feeling very well. I mean, I can remember distinctly. This is almost embarrassing to admit that, but I can distinctly remember getting my first placement and literally thinking, it's just I'm gonna get a call this week. I literally felt like it's happening. My dreams are coming true, and it's all going to unfold magically. And months went by until the next one. I think it was like 8 months where I realized, okay, this is not at all how this business works. So
Yeah, I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at myself thinking about just that kind of thinking. Um, just funny. But yeah, the approach I take now is when I get a win, I always think how could I have done that better? Like how could I have been more efficient? What do I need to do to increase the workflow? How could I have turned in more songs? Like that's what I get into now. I'm not like just satisfied with it. I realize it's never going to be enough. So enjoy every step of the way and then just get better, just get better. So yeah, I mean, I've already been thinking about what's the next thing I'm gonna do, so I don't know. I don't think about it anymore. I'll celebrate, I guess, for a day, a moment, but I'm already studying Ableton, creating curriculums for Ableton, doing all sorts of stuff.
yeah, and obviously enjoy the.
Totally.
So cool. Well, check it out. It's 5 o'clock on the dot. My time, 2 o'clock Pacific. We're going to go ahead and get started. I apologize in advance that I don't have I'm having problems with my webcam today. So unfortunately, you will not be able to see my handsome face. But we do have Eddie Gray and his video set up. And I guess I'll give a quick introduction, Eddie. I think most of you are probably already familiar with Eddie. He's a TV composer, based in Los Angeles. He's been at this a good 4 to 5 years solid. Over 10,000 placements to date. Eddie is the full-time composer for the show Born This Way. He's worked on the show The Healer. You just finished a Snapchat series. What was the name of the Snapchat series?
I'll be right back in 1 second. The show's called Endless Summer Season 2. Be right back in 1 second.
Okay, no problem. So I will keep talking while we wait for Eddie. But Eddie actually started. I first met Eddie as a client of HowToLicenseYourMusic.com about 5 years ago. He took several of our courses. I think you said you ended up taking all of our courses eventually, and then went on to parlay that information into this amazing career. And now we're working together, doing webinars and courses. And I think you've created 3 courses to date. So without further ado, Eddie Gray. Eddie, how are you?
Well, I'm still waiting for that YouTube link, but you've got it under control, so we're good.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you didn't get that. But yeah, I can just shoot the questions to you, once we get to that part. So awesome. So Eddie, you were going to start with a presentation today. What are you going to enlighten us about today?
Well, I don't know about all that, but I did want to talk about a couple things. Number one, I've been talking to different clients all over the world, Switzerland, Japan, Brazil, and I keep seeing a lot of the same issues. And I just thought, how can I best serve the community? What can I bring to the table? Anybody, I understand that this is a podium, and I want to make sure that I'm helpful while I'm here. If I'm going to do this, I want to be the best that I can be at it. And so there are, a couple things that need to be addressed if you're going to take this business seriously. And the first is, and if you're going to be taken seriously in this business. And the first is that you need a music library. I'm seeing it just more and more. People are, they're either on one end of the spectrum or the other. They're either prolific, they have a lot of music, but it just is not professional sounding. They don't have any submixes. They're completely disorganized. They've got files in various hard drives. So we've got that person archetype. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have people who do a lot of research, who are very intelligent, who are very organized to a fault, and they only have 5 songs in their music library. So I'm seeing kind of one or the other, and I haven't really seen much of a blend of both. I don't fault you if you're an artist and you don't like doing metadata, you don't like administration, you don't have or lean into entrepreneurial skills. I'm okay with that. That's what you have publishers for, because you make them do all the legwork while you do what you love to do. But the problem is when you don't have a publisher yet and you're just starting up your career, is you have to do all that work unless you want to outsource it and delegate it. There are great services out there that can help you at a nominal cost. But the bottom line is we need to merge this gap, because it's happening way too much. And if anybody really wants to make this a full-time thing, they're going to have to bridge that gap. So please start to work on your music libraries. I don't care if you have 20 tracks or 5,000 tracks, but you need substance, you need numbers, you need to plant seeds for the money trees to grow. That's the only way this is going to work. Out of 100 seeds, let's say 2 of them or 10 of them sprout, start to germinate, start to grow. So I think that's clear. I think that we can all agree with that. The other thing that we should really talk about, and let me know if I have any, things to talk about, Aaron, or if things come up.
Sure.
But the other thing we got to talk about is, look, it doesn't have to be just your music, because what I'm also seeing is a trend where people are overwhelmed with their personal lives. They need help, right? They need assistance. They can't do everything on their own. They can't handle the administration skills, the networking that's involved with music licensing. They've got, you know, life with kids and jobs and school, and there's, you know, work, full-time, part-time, or double time for some. And so everything starts to become overwhelming. And I think people need to start being okay with the idea of collaboration, and a deep collaboration at that, where you have committed writing partners, or heck, if you're just a publisher, and you just have more songs to fill your library. So when you do reach out to publishers, you look impressive. You know, you look like you've got all your ducks in a row. Nobody wants to work with a composer, beat maker, artist, creative singer that doesn't have their stuff together. Picture this. I go to a publisher and I say, would you like to represent me? And I'm talking to a top publisher, you know, it's like Viacom or whatever, Mega Tracks, Killer Tracks. Would you like to represent me? You know, my name is such and such, and I have 5 tracks in my catalog. Well, that it's probably not the most, you know, kind of attractive or enchanting email, but let's just say they like your tracks. Let's say you kind of pass through that barricade. Then they say, well, do you have the metadata? And then all of a sudden you're like, no, I don't have the metadata. Automatically, boom, you are shut down. That's it. You lost your opportunity, which is why I liken this game to the dating, right? The dating game or the dating experience, because if you don't get it right the first time, or at least the second time, you're done. So just wanted to make sure I talked about that. I brought that up. I really want to help the community, but I am truly unable to assist and help unless there are certain things in place. You have to have your video reel, your sound reel up, ready to go, and it can be free, right? You can go to SoundCloud, load all your music. If you don't have any placements yet from television and you don't have a video reel, make something up, right? Just put an ad or just some images on Shutterfly or what have you. All this stuff is very inexpensive, but it gives you the appeal that you need in order to attract a proper suitor, in this case, a proper publisher, music house, music supervisor, editor, et cetera, et cetera. So I hope that helps. Obviously, if you need help with these details, you can, for all the premium members, you could look at the courses on howtolicenseyourmusic.com. And also, you could just reach out to me, and I'm glad to serve. You know, I help a lot of people all over the world, and I feel really called to do this. You know, I've done this already for myself. You know, I've been doing this full time for some time now, and I want to give back, but I cannot give back unless you help yourself first. So please start building your music libraries, start creating all the metadata that you need, create your sound reel, create your video reel, and then you're ready to go.
Okay, a couple questions, Eddie. When you say writers should have music libraries, are you talking about a library of their own music that's properly tagged, that has the proper metadata and everything is organized and ready to go? Or are you suggesting that more writers should have catalogs of other writers like you do? Which route are you suggesting they take?
One, the other, or both. Like I just said,
yeah.
If you're prolific, right, and you find yourself writing a bunch of music, then you're okay in that first category. You don't really need help. All you really need are, you know, is just the help of publishers, so they can spread your music and they can do all the metadata, handle all the you know, finances and things of that nature, contracts, stuff like that. If you're on the other side where you're pretty good or you're learning, and you need to fatten up your library in order to engage with potential clients, prospects, etc., then either A, make more music, or if that's not an option or just viable, right, then start collaborating with others, or just inherit their music so that you can reach out to people and you have more to offer. The whole name of the game has and always will be, what can I offer you, right? That's really what it is what can I give to you? And no one is going to care or pay attention unless you have something to give. Like I said, if you're somebody that has amazing music and you only have 10 tracks, that may be enough. But most likely it's going to be a numbers thing where you're going to need more music. So in cases like that, collaborate with 3 or 4 writers, or just, you know, ask people that you like, friends, hey, I love your catalog. You know, would you like to, you know, have me publish it? You know, non-exclusively. I'll give you a 30-day clause. You can get out anytime. You're just giving me the permission so I can go out there and pitch it for you.
Okay, excellent. Let me ask you a question, Eddie. Did you see the link yet for the YouTube video?
Not yet.
Okay.
If you want to go on Facebook and throw it on or something, I don't know what's going on with the email situation here.
Yeah, I'll send it to you on Facebook. In the meantime, if this works for you, I think what I'll do is I'll start feeding you questions relevant to what you're talking about. Does that work, or did you have more that you want to get into right away?
Oh, let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah, because we have more people on the call this time, and I have a feeling, you know, just the questions alone are going to take up quite a bit of time. So this one is from Higher Self. They ask what, and I think this is a good question because I know a lot of writers in this situation. What if someone has been with a publisher from the start? I've had 100 tracks or so far with a library. I've done well and had some major clients. Should I still look for different libraries? What do you say to somebody in that situation?
Higher Self, yes, definitely. Always spread the seeds, right? What happens if you dedicate another year to the publisher, and let's just say you're making every quarter, I don't know the numbers, but hypothetically speaking, you're making an extra 1,000 every quarter just off of this one publisher alone. What happens if they fold? All of a sudden that $4,000 you were counting on to pay for, you know, school or, you know, credit cards, what have you, is gone. All because you didn't utilize and maximize your time. So I always think it's smart business to have 3 to 5 different sources of income at all times. There's no reason why you should put all of your eggs into one basket, even if it's an extraordinary deal. I would absolutely continue on until something better comes, because throughout the year it's seasonal, right? Everyone isn't giving you work the whole time. It's that you're a contractor, right? You're an independent contractor, except we make things that we can't see, right? We can hear them though. And so you have to be very vigilant, and protect yourself, protect your business, protect your family, and make sure that you spread the seeds, man. So yeah, please keep reaching out to people. If anything, it puts you in a better position to influence others, to make more money. I mean, it makes sense on every level. There's no reason you're not doing anybody any harm, especially if you have a non-exclusive contract with that publisher and it's all, you know, non-exclusive music. What I like to do personally is I like to separate the music. Now that I've been doing it for 5 years, I find it to be a really clean thing. You know, I don't have to think about it. It just it's an easy life. And I'm all about making things, you know, autonomous and easy.
Nice, I like it. Let's take a couple more questions. Denise Taft asks, when you ask about tracks, are you talking about a full 2-minute song or a song chopped up into 30-second, 60-second edits and so on?
Okay, I'll answer you, Denise. Hi, by the way. Real quick, the Facebook, I'm waiting for that too, so just keep me posted on that. The link on Facebook. So when we talk about music for licensing, the trend, you know, 8 out of 10 times is 1:30 to 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That seems to be the sweet spot in this business. I've never seen anybody say, send me a song for a minute, and I've never seen anybody else say, send me 3-minute songs. For some reason, when it comes to sync and licensing, maybe it's just because of the spots that we're hitting, right? Most music is, you know, anywhere between 5-7 seconds to, you know, 20 seconds maximum. And if you're lucky, you'll get, you know, 60-second placements, which pay very well. But for the most part, it's really just, you know, a small portion of time. So you don't, it's overkill. It's too much to write a 3-4 minute song. It's just not necessary. So 1:30 to 2:30.
And is this strictly for instrumental, quote unquote, production music, Or do you
No,
feel like
no,
it requires
I've
different vocal?
yeah, I've seen it with vocals too. I mean, and in fact, it actually saves you time, right? You write an intro, you write a verse, chorus, maybe a small interlude or bridge, verse, chorus, call it a day, you know, or verse, interlude, bridge, and then chorus and call it a day.
Yeah.
I've seen it on both ends. Nobody needs, I mean, when was the last time you saw a full song played, whether it was on a movie or a show? It does happen, but it just doesn't happen often, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think I've had it happen once in 15 years in my case.
Yeah, I never made it happen. I mean, I've had 2 minute placements, 1 minute, but it's always been truncated every single time.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Higher self. Here's a follow-up to the question about diversifying from higher self.
Yeah.
He said that all the songs, so he has this 100 or so song catalog, they're all exclusive. So I'm actually kind of in a similar situation in that I have my quote unquote main publisher is exclusive, but
Yep.
then I have other non-exclusive libraries. What what's a good approach in terms of diversification when you have, let's say you have an exclusive publisher, they're coming through for you, they're getting you placements, but they're obviously not placing everything you sign them. What's a good sort of ratio in terms of diversifying?
So just want to make sure I'm understanding you. So you've got an exclusive publisher and you want to understand what exactly?
Well, here, I'll give you a specific example.
Yeah.
So in my case, I have an exclusive publisher that I have quite a few songs with, but then we have other libraries that are also interested in some of my tracks. I'm asking what's a good ratio in terms of the percentage of songs you have signed exclusively
Okay. Yeah.
if they're getting you songs placed versus when to decide to take chances and place them with other non-exclusive libraries.
I'll have to default to the old saying 20% of your income, I'm sorry, 80% of your income comes from 20% of your resources or actions. So in this case, believe it or not, most of your income will come from 20% of your music. So even though you may love this song or think the song is a gem, the market will probably think otherwise, and they're going to use whatever they deem fit. I've already said this before. I've got publishers that think all I write is salsa music, you know, when I've got other publishers that think I only write tension music. So as long as you fulfill the need, I don't think it really matters. But if you want a hard number, I would dedicate at least 20% of my library to exclusive partnerships. Mostly because most of the publishers are gonna take it seriously. In other words, it's almost like you guys are blood brothers. You know, you guys are saying we're in a pact. We're gonna fight this war together. We're gonna go to battle together. And you have skin in the game in that you've given your music up, but they've got skin in the game because they want to win, right? They want to be a strong publisher in the market, that they have something to fight for too. So look, it's not always going to pan out. I'll be honest. I have publishers I've given 50 exclusive songs to, and sometimes just doesn't pan out. But I think the gesture is a grand one, and people will take you seriously. And if that company folds or if they turn into something else, I think they'll remember, who you are. Man, I just gave 4 songs away about a year, or maybe even 2 now, to this exclusive publisher, I think in Australia. And I thought nothing was going to come of it. I thought, man, what a waste. And literally last week I got paid $187, not expecting it, had no clue what was going on. But it took 2 years to get the ball rolling. So to me, it's just smart business to go exclusive. I know people don't like it, but we've got the technology. Let's work faster. Let's work smarter.
Excellent. So I have some more questions from viewers. I wanted to ask you a question though. I always try to ask questions, Eddie, that I think people are going to have. I try to put myself in the shoes of people watching this. So one of my questions for you is, when you're signing, you're getting started initially, and you're signing with publishers and libraries, how do you sort of nudge them in a professional way? How do you cultivate those relationships? If you do have 50 songs with an exclusive publisher, what can you do to encourage more placements, more activity, more action? Is there anything you can do after you've signed those songs?
Okay, so you're saying you've got a relationship with an exclusive publisher and you kind of want to kind of spice things up and you want them to keep pushing your music, right? You kind of want to keep reminding them like what's going on. Is this right?
Exactly.
Okay. In a lot of ways, this is like a relationship thing too, right? When you're in a relationship, you always kind of need to spice things up. Here I am being, Dr. Phil for you guys. But the fact of the matter is this: if you don't reach out to people, they're not going to know who you are, right? If you don't propose opportunities, different, ventures, different approaches, they're also not going to know who you are. So it's almost like you're constantly wooing or trying to impress that person or that relationship in this case. So if I were you, these are things that I've done that have worked tremendously for me. Let's say you get a deal, and in the case of Hire Self, it's got things rolling with this publisher. Let's say you're one of the favorites, or you're one of the top dogs in that clan or in that crew. Well, you can say, hey, the last 6 months, the last year has been really fantastic for me. I really appreciate the opportunity to serve the X company or X community. I don't know what the company is, but you understand what I'm saying here. And then you say something like, in the next 2 months, I'm going to be writing 12 songs for, blues rock, or for a blues rock brief. If you're interested in representing these exclusively, please let me know. Here is a sample. Drop box hyperlink. Boom. All of a sudden, you're having them think about the future and what you can offer them. You kind of need to be indispensable. That's the truth. You need to be somebody that they look at and go, this is my guy or this is my girl. Like they're top notch. They're professional. They're always meeting deadlines. And once you become indispensable, when the money comes in, because those checks, though, they will come in eventually, and they're ready to delegate because they get overwhelmed too, right? They understand that you need cash. We need cash flow, right? We need some money to make this thing happen. They're gonna come to you first. This has happened to me where I've worked exclusively for somebody. I kind of become one of their number one guys, number two guys, and then they get so busy, they start getting so much clientele that they need to delegate. They have no other option because they have too much going on. And then who's there? The guy who's been there all along, and that's you.
Excellent. I like it. What percentage of writers do you think are doing this? Because some libraries, some publishers have thousands of tracks, hundreds of writers. I'm guessing it's a pretty small minority that actually are that proactive.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a reason that I got here, and this is what I'm trying to do now. Is I'm trying to tell people how I did it. It's gonna cost something. It's gonna take something for you to get there, right? For you to be on Netflix or be composing for a premium web series or create the jingle for the next big podcast, whatever it is. So I would go to extreme measures personally. I mean, that's what I did. I've told you guys my story. I won't repeat it, but by any means necessary, that's kind of how I live, man. Whatever it takes. If I have to email them 50 times, 100 times, it just takes that one person to completely change your life. I'm telling you, like, I met one person, and I've done about 5 different shows. One was a pilot, but I've done 5 different shows. And it was because of one different person that I probably emailed about 50 times. No joke. So
whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. Nice. Let's move along. I will try to get to as many of your guys' questions as possible. Keep the questions coming, and we'll try to get to as many of them as possible. The next question is from It's Lou Beats, and he asks, I'm assuming it's a he, when you talk about building up your playlist, say I build up a playlist of 100 or 200 songs, Are you copywriting every song prior to shopping them around? How do you deal with copywriting your tracks?
I don't. I don't, simply because I'm in the music licensing space. I particularly don't see a need for it. I could be wrong. I just haven't had a need for it. These songs are being sent to publishers. They're registering them. I don't see the point of having me register them if they're the ones doing the work. And by the way, I mostly work with exclusive publishers now, so that's another big part of it. I don't feel the need to worry. Our contracts state that they're the ones that that are going to be doing the work. So why would I kind of step on their toes, right? So I personally don't do it, but please do your research, do your homework. It's just not what I've done.
Yeah, and technically speaking, the moment you write a track, if you create a track, you own the copyright. So going through the Library of Congress is sort of a formality. In the event that someone tries to steal your tracks, you have a way to document that it's actually your track, but it's not something you have to do. It's not a prerequisite for licensing, but like Eddie said, do your own research, draw your own conclusions. Okay, here's another question, Eddie. This one is from Mentoring with Music. This question is, Eddie, you always say study your DAW. Other than studying the Logic Pro X manual, did you take a class? And if so, what course do you recommend?
Actually, I do not recommend a course. I'll recommend a free resource, and I'll recommend a phenomenal book series. I'm actually the proofreader on this book series, so I can vouch for it personally. So the free resource that I'm going to recommend to you is Music Tech Help Guy. And you guys all know him. He's really thorough, really succinct. I love his teaching style. I think he's really solid. So that's a free resource on YouTube. The other resource, which I think is tremendously more thorough, it's really next level, is something I'm going to post here on the chat, and it's called Logic Pro GEM. And these are what's called graphical enhanced manuals, and they take you step by step through the entire interface and inner workings of Logic. This is how I personally learned. I bought every book. You guys are starting to see a pattern here of extremism, right? And so I just read everything. I studied everything, underlined everything. I also really like this book a lot, which is the Logic Pro X certification book. Not so much because you need the certification, because you don't. More so because it teaches you the application. In other words, I can learn something, but it doesn't really matter if I learn it online unless I have an actual use for it, an application. So those would be my two recommendations, but there are no books or any resources on the internet that are more comprehensive than logicprogem.com.
Excellent. Moving along, Tony O'Face Pro asks, would you send the same tracks to various non-exclusive publishers? So if you're pitching to non-exclusive publishers and libraries, should you send the same tracks? I don't see why not, right? They're non-exclusive.
Yeah, this used to be a thing 5 years ago, because the industry really changed about 4 years ago. But the reason it changed was because you had guys like me or you who, were starting to kind of make their mark and, claim their stake. And they were getting a lot of placements. And so then they had, let's say, 500 placements this quarter with this company. And then in the same quarter, they had another 500 placements with this company. And both of these companies were serving the same outlets or media outlets. So that became problematic because people kind of looked at it like double dipping, right? It just became like a matter of confusion. It's like, well, should we pay? Wait, we got placed over here, but the same song is over here. Who should we place it with? And it just became an administrative nightmare, which is why we went into the exclusive model, because it saves us a lot of headaches, saves editors a lot of headaches and music supervisors. So I personally send things out all the time. Should you give publishers a heads up? I think it's a healthy nod. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, hey, I just want to let you know I sent these songs to, these libraries. I'll leave that up to you, but I think it's it's a nice gesture.
Okay, so moving along, this is a question from Presto Music Company. Thanks for all the info. In the California Retreat 2017 video on the premium website, you handed out papers that had song moods descriptions for metadata. Is there a way to get a copy of that? Do you remember the paper she's referring to that you handed out?
But of course, yeah. Go ahead and email me at HF, like Frank, HF tracks, plural, tracks, at gmail.com, and I'll send those over to you. Just remind me, please.
Awesome. Let me see. I'm scrolling up to see if I missed any questions. Here's one from Bulletproof. Bulletproof Cupid. Can one individual composer get into music houses and ad agencies without a middle name? Without a middleman. I thought that said without a middle name. Without a middleman. Can you
Bulletproof? I know this guy. This is Michael. He's killing it in the game. He's doing really well right now. He's definitely a rising star. What's up, man? Shout out to you. Yeah, I mean, that's what I did. Your ticket is to find a music supervisor because they're the ones in charge of the budget. So let's say a TV network hires, I mean, there's like the whole chain of like the president, the CEO, and all that stuff, but they'll hire a music supervisor, and the music supervisor's sole job is to aggregate music. They make playlists, they actually edit. To some degree, they are composers. A lot of them are very skilled. They have a musical background. But if you link up with these people who have these budgets, they are also very overwhelmed and in many cases overworked. And so they need assistance, and which is why they'll hire you, because they know this guy's on top of it, meets deadlines. This is how I got the gig with Snapchat. I know somebody that has a budget and he needs help. So in order for him to get the music that he needs, he has to scour the internet and go through all the different publishers' sites. This takes a tremendous amount of energy. You can imagine. Imagine if you're looking for one type of style, let's say something a little bit more obscure like guitar ambient underscore, right? This is not very easily accessible. It's not like you could just type that in everywhere and get a whole bunch of tracks. Some publishers are gonna service that genre, but not everybody is. And so if your budget, let's say, is 5,000, and he takes 3,000 and gives it to a certain publisher, and then kind of marks up what they call an umbrella deal, like a license deal for the month, where he can take as many songs as he wants for that particular show. All of a sudden, that extra $2,000 goes to you. Right? They can't pocket it. It's not like an extra bonus for them. They have to use it up. So what they'll do is they'll hire a buddy or a right-hand man to assist them with the job. I hope that helps. And if I'm not clear, please let me know.
Excellent. So I'm not seeing any more questions at the moment. Was there anything else in particular you wanted to address before we move on? And I want to tell them a little bit about your coaching program, and we can get into that.
No, these were fantastic questions, man. I'm loving the community. I'm just really happy with the direction, how things are going. I don't know if you noticed this week, but Ulrich Ellison, who's not on right now, he's traveling to go on tour. He had a big problem with his hard drive.
Yeah, I saw that.
And man, we talked about it, and I kind of coached him and gave him some tips, and I just love that we have this resource available. I mean, think of how amazing it is. One of us has an issue, we can all kind of come together, we can all group and, kind of take on the world like the Avengers or whatever. But I'm just stoked about it. I'm really grateful for this avenue. I really am.
Yeah, and I love the growth we're seeing. I mean, this has been a very gradual process getting the member site up and running off the ground, but we're seeing more and more people on the webinars, and we're getting more feedback and interaction. So, thanks so much, guys, for tuning into this. We're going to try to keep these coming. And again, I apologize to those who tuned in late that my webcam is not working today. Normally, I have my webcam up and running, but next time we'll have that ready to go. So let's let me ask you a couple more questions, and then we'll move
Sure.
along, and we'll talk about your coaching program. In terms of getting started, and hopefully I'm not being redundant. I know we've done a few of these webinars, and we've probably touched on some of the same topics before, but any sort of general advice for how to get started in terms of connecting with libraries, publishers, doing research? And again, I know we've talked about some of this before, but what do you say to somebody who's totally new to this? They don't have any contacts in the business.
Yeah, I mean, it's a process. You got to build. You really truly have to build. It starts ground floor. You got to have a music library. You have to have a reel, sound reel. People have to know who you are. You have to have a calling card, not a business card. I mean, you can have that too if you want, but you have to have something that you can be identified with, so that if somebody does want to reference or look back at your email, they go, oh, there's the SoundCloud or there's, their website. Let me check them out. Again, with my break, I had this slogan, keep your frequency high. And the music supervisor that I've worked with in the past, he looked me up because he thought of me when he got hired for a job. And he thought, oh, what about that guy? What was it? Oh, yeah, keep your frequency high. And then he just typed that in Google. And, Google has that sophisticated search engine. And that was it, So, but mind you, prior to that moment, it was about 4 years of building the music library, sending out various emails, metadata for my entire library from top to bottom. Everything was detailed out. And if you need that paperwork, again, please email me. I made sure everything was ready. It was almost like, that old saying, and I know it's silly, but if you build it, it will come. It was like that. It was like I just prepared. And I thought, if I prepare and I do everything properly, things will happen. And I just finished an ad for Marvel. It's incredible all the stuff that has happened the last couple of years just by making sure all my ducks were in a row. So that's the first thing, is you got to get those three fundamental things, your brand, your library, and then your sound reel, your calling card. And then after that, just reach out. It's a numbers game. Reach out to as many people as you can. How many leads do you have on the site right now, Aaron? I mean, it must be in the hundreds, if not thousands, yeah? What do you think?
Well, we're posting, there's a new lead every single day this year. It's called the 365 Day Music Licensing Challenge. So there's a new lead every single day, but there's also a directory, thousands of libraries and supervisors and publishers. So, there's potentially hundreds, if not thousands, of people to reach out to.
I mean, Aaron, if I would have had that resources when I first, because, when we first started, I had to pay for the, every course and every lead. It was like a whole thing. So yeah, this is remarkable. I mean, you guys are so lucky. It's all right in front of you. All you have to do is basically follow the system, follow the work. If you have everything in place and you reach out to people, it's going to happen. And then look, meanwhile, if you're not that great at production, start improving your production skills. If you're not that great at administration, handle all that stuff. Keep improving it. It's a multifaceted business. It's not just music. Let's be absolutely clear. This business is not just music. It's a people business. It has been, and it always will be a people business. So please start to form those relationships and start to reach out to people. With my clients, I hold everybody accountable. I make people do certain things. I have action items, action steps every single week. And the next time we talk, whether it's weekly or bi-weekly, I kind of check off the list. Okay, how many emails did you get in? How many people have you reached out to? And then, I can call them out like, hey, you're not getting the results you want because you're not hitting the steps that you're supposed to hit. It really is a system. I mean, it is that simple. If all your ducks are in a row. If your ducks are not in a row and you're emailing a bunch of people, it's not going to matter anyway, right? There's a sequence to it.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I love it. Let's take a few more questions. Let's go for about another 10 minutes on questions, and then we'll talk about your program. What do you recommend? This is from Mentoring with Music. What do you recommend for mass metadata tagging?
Okay, good question. Thank you for that one. I really love iBatch. It's a iBatch for iTunes. If I can I'll try and take a screenshot of it and see if it works. It's just a simple program. It's really quaint. I don't know if I drag it in if it'll show up, but yeah, iBatch for iTunes. I believe it was like $5. I love it. Yeah, it's not going to work. Sorry about that. But yeah, iBatch for iTunes. You can find it in the App Store. I believe it's $6 or something like that. I think it's incredible, personally.
iBatch for iTunes, cool. David Jackson had another question. Are music supervisors really open to us reaching out to them, even if we're new to the game? It's a good question.
Dude, look, if you're good, you're good. It doesn't matter if you've been doing this for a month or, 10 years. Music is music. It just depends on how you swing it. I mean, I've met people who have been doing this for a year, and I thought they were absolutely incredible. Maybe they weren't organized, or maybe they didn't have connections, but their music was insane. I help young people, and I bring them up in the business as well. I mean, you don't have to have it all down, but you have to have something going for you. It either has to be the administration stuff that you're on top of, or the music stuff. So that has to be figured out for sure. But they need help. Music supervisors work at a minimum 10 hours a day, and really more, it's 12 plus hours a day. So just think about it like this. If you were in their position and you had a budget, an allotted budget that you can't, pocket, wouldn't you want to get help? Of course you would. I mean, that's one of my goals personally, is I want to work on getting into that gig so I can music supervise, compose, have some musicians around. Like, it just seems like a fantastic gig. So, it's good to have goals. It's good to kind of reach out for the next thing. But yeah, they want help. It's just they want the right help.
Yeah, because here's a add-on to that. Higher Self says, I think the biggest issue is we just assume these people get swamped every week with emails. I mean, that is a real issue, right, Eddie? Is that, of course, if you approach the right supervisor at the right time with the right track, they could be open to it, but they are sort of inundated with music. So that's a real issue, right, getting through to them.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. But like I said, I mean, I was able to cross that threshold, and I connected with the music supervisor. So, I mean, it's possible. I mean, I'm right here, right? There's nothing different between any of us. I mean, we all know that. You guys listen to my music, drag it into your DAW, give you some tracks. We're not that different. I don't have, $50,000 worth of mastering gear and all this stuff. Like, I'm working in the box predominantly. I use UAD just for the mastering and stuff like that. But they need help. I mean, yeah. If you could find somebody to help you and make your life easier and pay them, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. Some budgets are very generous, by the way. Trust me, you would. Because at the end of the day, you're not thinking about the current job. You're always thinking about the next job, especially once you're established, right? They already are thinking about, music supervisors, it's a cyclical business. They work for 3 months on a job, then they're moving on to the next. They're thinking about the next thing that they're going to get hired on, and then, making sure the relationship with the current show is solid and you fulfill on that job. So in order to make that happen, you often just need help, which is why I propose that you also collaborate with people, because it'll help you dramatically with your output,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And you never know ultimately until you try. So you've got to take that step. All right, let's do a couple more quick questions. Presto Music asks, when you hired musicians to play on a track and gave them acquisition of buyout contracts, did you write parts for them or give them an idea of what you wanted and then had them play as you directed them?
I'm going to, as I'm talking, tag a song and I'll explain it. But I went to a club once in LA. I forgot what it was called, but it's one of these clubs where, people are drinking, hanging out, and then there's like dancers that come out and, they're like hanging on these like Cirque du Soleil kind of, poles and things like that. A jazz saxophone player came out. I believe his name was Walter White. It's been a while since I've done this song, but I'm going to look for it right now. Anyway, he came out and I was absolutely floored by his performance, right? And so I just said, hey, man, we have to write a track together. The track was already recorded. I'll post it up in a sec. And I just told him, look, man, I'm not going to tell you how to play the sax. You know what you do. I didn't want the Eddie Gray version of the sax. I wanted his spirit on my track, right? So in that case, I let him run. I was just like, hey, man, do whatever you got to do. I respect your craft. There are other times I have another song where I will specifically tell them, this is how I want you to play. If you want to go off and take a solo here, please do. And I'll post both of these references. So, I just think it depends. It's all contextual. But in my case, to be honest, I mostly tell them, here's the link right here. I mostly just say, hey, this is your section. Let it rip.
Okay, cool. So you just kind of let them do your thing.
Sax example. Check this one out. Boom. Yeah, I think you guys will like that song. This is like my ode to Saturday Night Live.
And then they had a follow-up to that question, Eddie. They wanted to know, and if they played to just an idea, is there ever an issue of them needing or wanting a co-write credit? Yeah, how do you deal with
Not if you make them. You got to make them sign that contract first, man. Remember, this is a business, so you always do contracts. I would never do anything. I would never move forward unless it's on the dotted line, right? Latin example. On this second example, I had two players play, and I kind of told them what I wanted them to play. I just gave them kind of the general thing, and then they just kind of flew with it. So both examples, were just me telling them, this is kind of what I want, now run with it.
Excellent. So this has been great, guys. Thank you so much for all the questions. Let's talk a little bit about your coaching program. So just to explain this, I actually approached Eddie a few weeks ago and proposed the idea of Eddie offering some sort of one-on-one mentorship coaching program. Eddie is really in sort of a different part of the business than I am, and his knowledge and what he's learned and what he's doing is quite a bit different from what I do. So I thought it would be helpful to have some sort of a program that Eddie offers and teaches, so you guys can learn from somebody who's doing a lot of television work and doing Snapchat series and so on and so forth. So tell them a little bit about the program, and then I'll tell them where they can get all the details.
Okay, so there's plenty of people that can vouch for this, and you'll probably start seeing different comments on our group and different groups that I also host a Logic group if any of you are interested in that. But I'm about service. I can't do all of this for free, obviously, but you'd be surprised how many people I do help on a day-to-day basis for free. And I do this because I want people to feel like they have a comrade, they have a confidant that they can go to. I mean, I get tens, if not hundreds, of emails, texts on any given day with people just asking me questions, whether it's DAW specific questions, whether it's industry-based questions, and sometimes even just life questions, right? Because we're all in different parts of the journey. Some of us, are doing really well with our business, but our relationships need help, or maybe our relationship to our kids is really great, but we need help with finances or whatever the case may be. So at this juncture, I'm doing well with business, and I'm happy about it, and I want to scale it. And I realize if I want to scale it, I have to help others. Each one teach one. You have to help the community grow. And I see this, and I take it as a responsibility and as an obligation. And also I take it very serious, which is why I come on these calls. I'm prepared. I'm ready to rock. So I'm at this point now where I realize that in order to grow and become the best version of myself, I'm going to have to give. And I'm ready to give on a whole different level because I've done this. I've been around the block a couple of times. And so I'm just ready to commit and to serve. That's really where I'm at. You can talk to various people. I've got several folks that are making significant progress in their lives, careers, music production process. And that's it, man. I'm just, I don't want to be in a studio by myself all day. I'm not interested in that. I want to build community. I want to build an infrastructure. And I have plans. For example, out here in LA, I'm in the next 6 months to a year, I want to build a networking music production group where every Monday or Tuesday, I'm trying to figure out the day, I might have a location already. We just get together, right? It's kind of a free thing by donation only. And I have a guest speaker talking about a new subject, for example, compression or step sequencing or, automation or whatever. There's always so much more to learn in this business. And I want to address these things. I'm interested in community now. I've already done it. Now I want to know what else can I build. And so that's kind of the intent here. I just want to help and serve. If any of you have ever thrived in any parts of your life, you know what I'm talking about. You just want to help. I have a daughter. It's like this feeling of just wanting them to get better and to be self-sufficient. It's kind of like that. I'm ready to just give. I've got a lot of energy, as you guys can probably tell, and I have to give it out, right? I just can't go to bed at night just kind of like, oh, okay, what did I do today? I just worked on my own music. It feels incomplete. So bottom line is I'm just ready to go. I'm ready to serve. And there's a lot of ground to cover. There's a lot of work to do. So, that's where I'm at.
So I dropped a link in the comment section of this video and also the chat box to all the details about Eddie's program. Can you kind of tell people what to expect if they take the program? It starts on Monday, by the way. So this Monday, April 8th, it's an 8-week-long program. And what will you be doing with the writers that go through this mentorship coaching program?
Okay, I'm going to address this. I just want to make sure that we get Ryan Rice as soon as I just don't want to forget. So Ryan Rice, I'm on that question right now. So essentially, I've actually already started with some people, preliminary calls, just kind of emailing people that were, that have shown interest in the program. And what I'm doing is I'm assessing their landscape, right? I'm kind of looking at them and saying, look, this is what's good. This is what's working. This is what's not working. Excuse me. Let me help you strengthen the stuff that you're already good at, and let me help you polish what you're not good at. And also, how can I bridge that gap? Because sometimes, for example, one of the clients that I work with, her production skills need help, right? She's got ideas, all that's working. The creativity is there, but the production is not. And also, she's amazing at organization, at reaching out to people, networking. So I told her, as you're learning the production part of the business, go ahead and build up your publishing, start to aggregate music, and start reaching out to people so that, as you're learning the music side of things, you can build up the business side of things, and you can kind of meet somewhere in the middle. Any of you guys that are top-notch producers, beat makers, you'll know that it takes anywhere between 2 years, 5 years minimum to be good at music production. I mean, that's just, if I'm off on that, please let me know in the comments section. But pretty much it's going to take some time to really kind of learn this craft, right? We're not just pushing buttons and slapping on EQs, and it's not that simple. There's a science to it, right? It's an art as well. So it's just about accountability. Like when people want to get in shape, they will hire a personal trainer, right? It ensures that they're going to get there. It ensures that they're going to get the job done, and in spite of them not wanting to do it. And that's what this program is about, is just making sure you get it done and you take your career to the next level. And you just, you don't wait anymore. There's no more waiting. Just get it done, right? Let's move forward. How can we move forward? And learn from somebody that's actually done it. That's really the bottom line. It's like, I paid for services like this when I first started. And man, I'm so grateful that people critiqued me. They gave me honest feedback. And I did every single one of those steps. In fact, I'm willing to show you guys the notes that I received from the person that consulted me, and you can see that I did everything to the letter, just as a way of being transparent and being open.
Awesome. So like I said, if you guys are interested in that, the link is in the comment section below this video. If you're watching the webinar on the premium website, there's also a link below the video on the premium website as well. So check that out. You need to sign up between now and Sunday. The coaching starts on Monday. So we've got about 5 more minutes. You said you wanted to, there's 1 or 2 more questions you wanted to take.
Yeah, I see.
Ryan had a question.
Yeah, so he said, recently I had nearly 50 of my tracks accepted by a very reputable and respected boutique film and TV library. It's taken 6 months for the tracks to start showing up. 15 are not even registered yet. This is totally normal. Ryan, there's a lot of things that kind of fall through the cracks, and there's a lot of songs that are prioritized. For example, you may have the gems, the ones that just sound better. So don't be alarmed. Give it another 6 months, and I'm sure these songs will start showing up in your ASCAP or BMI registrations. You mind if I answer Presto real quick, Aaron?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Okay. So we got Presto here. Quick tech question. Do you bounce all the MIDI files as audio at the end of your session? If so, do you do it before making final mix or just a safeguard? I'll answer you, but in the interim, do you mind telling me why would you do this? Like, what is the purpose? Is it just to make sure all your files are aggregated, like in the audio files folder? I'm just curious what your approach is. But so specifically, I'll answer: do I bounce all my MIDI files? No. I do not bounce all my MIDI files nowadays. Hard drives are like $100 for like 4 terabytes or whatever it is. So I could just store stuff away, and I'm not concerned with that. If so, do you do it before making final mixes? I guess if there was one thing to think about, it's more just CPU, right? If you don't have enough power or resources to uphold all the plugins, like if you're using Contact and Massive and you're using all of these heavy plugins, you may not have the resources to keep up. So in that case, I would bounce everything to audio, whether it's an audio track with the plugins or MIDI tracks. And by the way, in Logic, I think you're a Logic user, there's a great feature. It's called Bounce and Replace All Tracks, and it literally just bounces every single thing in audio, and there's no more plugins in the audio inserts. But you will have all the sends still available. Presto, after some music updates, some instruments didn't work anymore, so I had to recreate them. Yeah, that sucks. I'm sorry about that. That's technology. Yeah, I mean, I can see your reasoning behind that. Yeah, go ahead and bounce all your tracks. I personally haven't done that, but the Mac cycle, I use a Mac, is probably about 6 to 10 years before you have to get a new Mac. So yeah, it's never a bad idea to just take precautionary measures. Yeah, thank you for that.
Excellent. Well, listen, it's almost 6 o'clock. We've almost gone a full hour. I think this is probably a perfect ending point. I think we've covered a lot of ground. Again, thanks to everybody who tuned into this. Thank you, Eddie, for doing this yet again, and I'm sure we'll be doing this again in the near future as well. Again, check out all the links. Check out Eddie's program. If you want to sign up for that, it starts on Monday. There's a link I'll put a link to the premium website in the description in the comment section as well. Eddie, anything else you want to end with here before we sign off?
All I want to say is, let me see if I can get this shot. Defy the odds. That's all I have to say, guys. You guys can do it. It's all available to us. The whole world is right in front of you. You can reach out to music supervisors. Make sure all your ducks are in a row. If you need help, seek the help that you need. But anything is possible. I seriously mean that. I mean, I just did an ad with Marvel. You really got to think about this. It was only a couple years ago that I was on Aaron's site, and yeah, I wasn't sure if he emailed me or I emailed him, but basically I bought these leads, man, and they changed my life. I'm a testament to the community. So let's do it. Let's work on it. Let's take it to the next level. Thank you guys for showing up. I'm really grateful. This means a lot to me. I'm really at a point where I'm really ready to give. So thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thanks again, guys. Thank you, Eddie. To everyone who watched this, if you like this information, share it with your friends, share it with other musicians, let people know about our community. It's growing. I think we have close to 200 members on the premium website, but these webinars are kind of taking a while to get going. But we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep going. We're not going to give up, just like with the music. So thank you, everybody. We'll talk soon. Have a great day, Eddie. I'll be in touch with you soon.
Okay, cheers.
All right. Peace out.
Bye.
Thank you.